friends. Welcome to the Creative Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Caldwell, and I'm so happy you're here. Each episode, I take some time to chat with fellow artists about life, faith, and the impact of the arts.
If we felt led to worship, if we felt like God was calling us, you get that feeling. I don't know how to describe it, but it's something in your spirit and you feel like you're led to worship. We would worship freely in the back, and then we would go in the front and just worship freely. It wasn't a choreographed dance or anything like that. It was just one of those things that felt very God inspired and led, and it was so normal for us, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, I think it was a really blessing to be able to just kind of help lead the church in worship through dance. And it's not an easy thing, but Elaine and I learned to do that. It's very hard to get up and give yourself fully in front of people. It wasn't like, I'm going to go out there and show my stuff. It was actually very hard. Just like it can be hard for people just to like raise their hand in worship. It's very hard to get up and freely improv in front of people.
You're listening to episode 28, and today is part 3 of our Family Christmas series. Throughout the month of December leading up to Christmas, I've been sharing conversations with members of my family. It's been so fun to hear more about their stories and to get into the spirit of the season. Today, I get a chance to talk to my amazing sisters-in-law, Alisa Piñones and Alana Borst. Alisa and Alana are twin sisters, and they are both such fun and beautiful people. We chat about what it was like growing up as a twin, their experiences with dance and worship, the journey of motherhood, and their favorite Christmas memories and traditions. I enjoyed hearing Alisa and Alana's perspective on the value of dance as a form of worship. They share both the beautiful and the difficult aspects of leading in the church and worship through movement. From their earliest experiences with dance, worship has been at the heart of their expression. Alana shares how their mom inspired them to pursue dance and to grow as worshipers. They share their experiences with dance growing up, through college, and more recently in missions and project-based ministry. As we near Christmas 2020, I appreciate Alisa and Alana's reminders about the important things in life, our families, and our faith. We have fun talking about memories of Christmases past and some of the traditions that make this season so special. May this heartwarming conversation encourage you today. Super excited to be here with Alisa and Alana, and they happen to be my sisters-in-law, however you say that, plural. And I'm so excited to have you guys here. Thank you guys so much for coming.
We're glad to be here. It's an honor and fun to be with our sister-in-law here and getting to share with you on a different level.
Sure. Exactly. I'm like, I know y'all's stories, but it'll be fun to kind of hear different parts of it and just get to kind of hang out together. So I appreciate it. First off, maybe we can just start by y'all introducing yourselves, even though I kind of just did, but a little bit more about just who you are and your families and however you want to go with that. So do you want to start, Alana?
Hi, I'm Alana. Some people might know me as Alana Caldwell. I'm Alana Borst now. I'm a mom of 2 boys. One is 4 and one is 2. I'm homeschooling them. And I love being a stay-at-home mom. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me, to be perfectly honest. And I love it.
Aww, I love that so much. And by the way, all of y'all's kids are so precious. Sorry, just interjecting.
And I'm Alisa Caldwell, also known as Alisa Caldwell, but I'm Alisa Piñones now. I am married and have 2 kids with one on the way, 1 boy, 1 girl. I am also a stay-at-home mom. I also own a business that is a construction business with my husband that we started 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, which has been a lot of fun, and I do the accounting for that. And it's been quite a fun journey, a different journey learning, and actually love doing the accounting. It's something fun that I enjoy that I get to do during nap time. So I love paying bills.
That's awesome. That's super impressive. It's impressive, the accounting side. I took accounting in college and it was good. It was good to learn, but that's very awesome. It's really good. And maybe it's nice because you can see like a beginning and an end point.
Yes. Especially for task person.
That. Yes, for sure. Yeah, I love ant life and getting to hang out And we just recently had Thanksgiving, and that was super fun to get to see all the kiddos. And it's crazy how fast they grow. It's like mind boggling, but super fun to see too. Their personalities kind of develop and stuff like that. I'm sure we'll probably talk a little bit more about motherhood a little bit later on. But I would love to hear. So, you guys are actually twins, for those that don't know that are listening. What was it like growing up as twins?
I actually have a good story for that one.
Oh, nice.
We had a friend when we were little. Her name was Susan, and she described us really well. She said, I have one friend that is two people.
Oh, nice.
And that always stuck with me and Alisa, and we felt like that's really how we were. We always made friends together, and the best thing about being twins is we were each other's best friend. It was like being born with your very best friend, and we've carried it with us forever.
Aww.
And it's helped us even in our marriages, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
We use the same respect that we have for each other and sharing everything, and it's the same principles, and it's really amazing. It's something I think God really blessed us with, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I love that it's true. I think people that maybe didn't grow up, at least with a sibling, having to share things, but especially a twin, because it's like everything, even, your room and all of that, and probably clothes and things like that. So that's super cool and brings that different dynamic to, marriage and like family life and everything. So that's so cool. Did you want to speak to that?
I think my favorite thing about being a twin was sharing birthdays and having a best friend always. I was like, I don't know anything else besides having a best friend with me. And we would, celebrate birthdays together. We would play together all the time. And we knew how to fight and to forgive each other and to move on. And so I always thought of us as an old married couple, because we knew how to just have fun. And then we knew that we were going to fight, but then we always forgave each other and moved on. And it was just like this beautiful flow of us together. And when I got older and I wasn't with Alana after college, I had a birthday by myself. And I thought, this is so sad.
It is.
Because I always had a celebration buddy, and it was so fun and such a blessing. So it was really fun being a twin growing up, and still having a best friend now to be able to call and talk to and share stories with. So we're both really blessed.
That's so neat.
Someone who's always happy for you, no matter what, and there for your wins and there for your sadness.
Yeah,
it's just someone who's always listening. It was just amazing.
That's so cool. And it's neat thinking about seeing you guys together, even getting married pretty close together and then having babies close together. It's really sweet seeing that journey and continuing the bond, even into adulthood and with parenting and stuff like that. So thanks for sharing. It's fun to hear more about that. And I know we met when we were all at Belhaven, and it's funny thinking back when I tell the story of how I met Ben, I'm always like, well, actually, I knew his sisters first when we were at Belhaven, and I had no idea that he existed. And then, later down the road, kind of all came full circle.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know how y'all got involved in dance in the first place, though. I'm not sure if we've ever really talked about that, because we all ended up at college for dance. But just curious, how did y'all first get started in the dance world?
For Alisa and I, actually, we were pretty young, not when we started dancing, but we actually watched our mom worship dancing in church. And that was a long time ago. So it wasn't something people did. It was very new, and it wasn't very acceptable probably. But in the church we grew up in, we were used to seeing our mom get up there in the front and worship dance. And it was back when they had those long white sleeve blouses and the culottes and everything was covered. But
yes, I actually had one of those dresses as well.
Yeah, we still have them somewhere. But it was our normal to see our mom get up there and worship freely, and it was something that was pretty amazing. That was normal for us, and it was really beautiful to see and inspiring. It was like, yes, you're seeing your mom get up there and do that, and she wasn't with other people. She was alone by herself up there dancing. And it it was really amazing. And I think that's probably what helped influence us to go and break through and do things like that.
That's super inspiring.
Yes. The second step was my mom decided to get more training, and she started going to a studio, and she went for a full year as an adult. They could take adult classes and things. And she did a recital. They even had a performance. And when we went to watch the recital, I saw a different aspect, another aspect that was her training. And I saw all these students at their performance, and I saw that, and it was a Christian studio. And, they were all giving it to God, and they were all performing their recital dance. And I thought, I want to do that. So after that recital is when we decided to start taking technique classes.
Oh, cool.
And before that, we had taken like liturgical classes with one lady, doing small things, never like technique wise. So at 13 was actually when we started doing technique classes. So we were late bloomers in the dance world.
That's so amazing. That's really neat seeing the inspiration coming from worship, and that was the heart of it from the very beginning, with movement, and what boldness and courage it takes to be the person to step out into something like that when it's not the norm, at your church or in your community, to be that person. And that's something I admire about my mother-in-law as well. Like, so cool, just her heart before the Lord, and like willingness to do what she feels called to do, even if it feels maybe awkward sometimes, or, other people might be like, oh, I wouldn't feel comfortable getting up there myself, So that's really super cool. So you guys started at 13, like officially training, I guess. And then do you want to share a little bit about kind of like from there to like through college and post-college, and kind of what that looked like for you guys?
Yes. So for me, we like dancing at technique. I was like, okay, I've really enjoyed what we've done, and I'm ready to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
I want to get better. And so for me, like that was Bellhaven, and there wasn't any other place that I wanted to go. And I was like, okay, I can still include my Christian beliefs at a college and continue to grow my dance. And so that was our pick. And Alina really helped encourage that.
Oh, cool.
And college was definitely a place for growing our technique and finding ourselves like get stronger in technique, but also like, you have your ups and downs in college. And for me, like I, worked so hard on my technique that I started forgetting about enjoying dance and worship. And at one point it was like, I'm not like growing, and they're seeing that. And I realized I have stopped worshiping and fully using my movement. I'm just so focused on technique that I'm not fully growing myself. So once we realized that, I was able to like, oh my gosh, really dance. And that was when they were like, okay, now you can move up to that level that you want to be at. And so it was interesting that you can get so focused on yourself that you can lose what you're there for.
Yeah, it can become a very competitive environment and be easy to lose sight of kind of the initial heart behind it and everything like that. So I know we were in dance ministry ensemble. I think all three of us were in dance ministry ensemble together for a little while. And that was cool because it kind of more intentionally held on to that heart as well, getting to go like into nursing homes, or I'm sure there were a lot of other places we went. That's just the one that comes to mind. Getting to also, make it a ministry to other people and, speak truth through our movement. And that for me was probably one of the first, maybe not the first, but it was one of the first times that was combined for me in my life, because I didn't really grow up with that in church as much either. So that's cool. Alana, you want to add a little bit more to that?
Yeah, college was a really hard time for me too. I'm very planted in my family, and that's really where I draw my strength from. I feel like my best friends are my mom, my brother, and my sister, and it's my family who are my best friends, and they're the ones who help me emotionally and spiritually. They tell me when I'm doing something wrong. And going to Mississippi and being in college, I was far away from them. I had my best friend Alisa, praise the Lord. And
yes.
it was a hard time for me, to be honest. It was very self-focused, I feel like, in college. It felt like it was all about you becoming a better technique in your dance. And then also if you're going to teach dance, you had to have very good technique. And again, like Alisa, I felt like I kind of lost my focus a bit, and that I was not training to be in a company. I wasn't training to teach perfect technique. I was training to worship the Lord, and I was losing my focus on that, I feel like. And it's easy to do in college. It's all about you. You need to get better. You need to learn whatever you're learning to get whatever degree you're getting, or
just a grade. And
or just a grade. And you kind of lose
so hard.
What the reason I was there for. And so that was my struggle, I feel like. And then also sometimes I would feel like as a twin, it was also difficult because Alisa and me were used to coming as two people and together. And every semester somebody would ask us, oh, are y'all going to share a room again? Are y'all going to share a room again? And I'm like, yes. Why wouldn't we?
Right.
And that was kind of hard because we were used to being accepted as two. And that was the first time that I felt like people looked at us oddly for being best friends. And I thought that was normal. So that was kind of hard for me to get around that, I guess.
Yeah. That would be a challenge to feel like you're kind of questioned all the time or something.
Yeah. Every semester, actually. Every semester. Wow. And then one time we didn't. And that didn't go so well. It was much easier when it was just Alisa and I. We could study better because we knew how to work around each other. Like Lisa said, we're an old married couple. So
you knew how to interact, and there wasn't that.
We would have our private discussions in private, respect each other. You don't have a fight in front of other people. That's just not respectful and loving because we love each other. Yeah, so we grew really well together, and it prepared us for marriage. And yeah, college was difficult for me, but after college, I think things started getting better.
Yeah. So speaking of after college, what were y'all's first things, I guess, after you graduated? What did you move into next? And then, because I kind of picked back up with your story in person a few years after that, whenever I met Ben. So
after college, I went to a mission trip. I did a lot of mission trips right after college, and that was a lot of growing for me. So after college, I went to Holland, and I stayed there for a total of 9 months in different periods. And that was a lot of growing. We performed there, performed dance. We also taught dance there. I worked with YWAM. It was a really huge growing experience for me being in another country. I always dreamed of being a missionary. Is one of the ways I wanted to use my dance was to be a missionary. And the Lord helped me see how awesome mission trips can be, but he also showed me how maybe I had a little bit of a romantic ideal of being a missionary. But the cool thing was the Lord showed me, hey, the ebb and flow of going and coming. And it was I'm really blessed by my mission trip because I would have never been connected with my husband if I hadn't gone, and I didn't meet him on a mission trip, but I met him through his sister, and she didn't talk about him. But when I got home in the States, she hooked us up in a very silent way. And so, it's all funny how it interconnects. And in my mission trips, I went to multiple places. I went to Holland, and with my Holland team, then we went to South Africa. And I went to South Africa one time, and then the next year, I think it was, the second year is when I was like, hey, this is fun. I need to include my sister. I know she's continuing her studies. And so I said, Elena, would you like to come on this trip? Going to South Africa, last year was cool. We're going to teach dance and we're going to perform. I want you to be part of our team. And I kind of slowly, started working her in.
Reeling her in.
And at this point, I hadn't met my friend who I ended up, getting married. That was much later after this. But I hooked Elena in and brought her into my mission trip. And my mom, before this trip, was like, Alisa, do you think there's any boys on this trip that Elena would like? just like randomly asked me that because they were all my team members and my friends that were coming from Holland.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at my mom, was like, nah, Mom, there's no boys Elena would like. No way. And she was like, okay, all right. But Elena did go with me that year.
You want to pick it up from there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that year I met my wonderful husband, Alana Borst.
On the mission trip.
On the mission trip. I wasn't having any expectations of that at all because you just don't really do that on mission trips at all. But
That's
yeah,
so
and
cool.
that was interesting.
Yeah, I love the threads and like the way that God kind of interwove, I don't know, interwove y'all's stories. Obviously they already were, but like using the mission trips, and then kind of through mission trips, you met both of your husbands, which is really cool in some way or another. That's so awesome. Do y'all have any fun stories from any of those trips that you would want to share?
One time in South Africa, a team was like gathering up, and you go to these random places, and I don't know, they had this random bathroom, I guess, with jail doors. And I guess I happened to be the last person in the bathroom, and I didn't know I was the last person, but they didn't know it either, and they locked me in, and they left, and they didn't have the key, and then I was yelling, and they were like, "Where's Alisa? I'm in here! I'm in the bathroom! Let me out!" And they didn't know what to do. The person who owned the bathroom didn't have a key, but luckily one of the kids was agile enough to climb in. He climbed into the bathroom window that didn't have, South Africa, no glass or anything. He climbed into the window, was able to boost me up to climb through the window, and then we both climbed out.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Oh my goodness, that is a story. That's a good Wow. Well, I'm glad you made it out. They didn't have to like somehow bust the door down or something. I don't know if that's even possible. It sounds like a pretty heavy duty door. So
it's been fun. There's also another time, I guess it was South Africa, that I cooked for a large number of people, about 50. And that was when Elena's fiance was actually in there helping me. And only a few people were allowed to be in the kitchen because I was so stressed. And we were making fettuccine Alfredo, and it took forever, and everyone was waiting. They kept coming in saying, "When is it ready?" Because it was for their big old thank you meal. And I was so late. The meal was like 30 minutes late or 45 minutes late, and they're all sitting at the table waiting. And they kept coming to me. I was like, stop asking questions.
Right.
But it turned out fine. But they all remember that meal going, wow, that was so late. It took forever. It was a giant pot of noodles. It was definitely an undertaking. I will remember it forever.
Yes. And I think you're pretty notorious for delicious meals and desserts and bread. We had some homemade bread at Thanksgiving that was so good. Super fun. So, and I've heard a story about, I think it was at Danny's wedding, the cake that you made.
Yes.
That sounded epic.
How did it go, Lane? That I told my team members who were my sous chefs, I pulled out the picture of the cake, and I told them, "This is the goal, people."
This is the goal.
Nailed it up to the wall. We're like, this is the goal.
Yes.
And it was Ben and I, and we're decorating and sprinkling with sparkles and icing, and you wouldn't share the icing with anybody, and it was very exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. We actually use that phrase a lot, Ben and I, because he's kept it alive. So he'll be like, "This is the goal, people." And so we kind of it's become very motivational. I love it. That's good leadership right there. Like the goal in mind, vision in mind. I'd like to just take a quick break from my conversation with Alisa and Alana and share with you about our Patreon community. Patreon is a really awesome platform where you can support shows like the Creative Impact Podcast. Not only does your support help to keep the podcast going, but as a patron, you receive access to bonus content like behind the scenes of the show and extra bits of conversations with our guests. Would you be willing to support the podcast? I'd love to have you as part of the Patreon community. You can check out more at creativeimpactpodcast.com/Patreon. That's creativeimpactpodcast.com/Patreon. Now back to my conversation with Alisa and Alana. That's awesome. Well, I would love to kind of chat a little bit more because I feel like it's such a cool heart that you guys have been brought up in and then also like continued with dance and ministry. I mean, I would love to hear, have you seen dance make an impact in ministry?
For us, in ministry, we danced actually a lot in high school. And what we did is we were also free to dance at our church.
Yeah.
And that was another place where we could really worship freely. And it was at Vine Life. And if we felt led to worship, if we felt like God was calling us, you get that feeling. I don't know how to describe it, but it's something in your spirit and you feel like you're led to worship. We would worship freely in the back, and then we would go in the front and just worship freely. It wasn't a choreographed dance or anything like that.
Kind of like an improvisation type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was welcome there at that church, and it was something that was so normal and freeing, and you would bless different people, and people would come up and tell you how they were blessed by your dancing, and it was just one of those things that felt very God inspired and led, and it was so normal for us, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, I think it was a really blessing to be able to just kind of help lead the church in worship through dance. And we only did it when we knew that the Lord, only did it in front when we knew that the Lord, you get that big old heartbeat.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I get nervous. Like I get this sort of, your heart starts beating and you're like, oh, I think this is the Holy Spirit telling me I'm supposed to do something. Yeah.
Yes. And, it's not an easy thing, but Elaine and I learned to do that. It's very hard to get up and give yourself fully in front of people. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go out there and show my stuff. It was actually very hard. Mm-hmm. Just like it can be hard for people just to raise their hand in worship. It's very hard to get up and freely improv in front of people because it's a full, I don't know how to say it, a full release of yourself, a full way to sacrifice yourself in front of the Lord. And it was really beautiful, like Elena said. It was also a sacrifice to give. And it was something that we learned how to do and to lead the church. And we did it also when we were in college with the church that we felt was very comfortable with worship. We would dance in the back. And one point we both felt led to dance in the front. And actually after that, the church kind of said, we don't want that. Don't do that again. And so Elaine and I we're sorry. We felt we were led. We were never trying to, hurt anyone or show off. And so, we never did that again. And we kind of just completely shut down the dance, brought it in. And interestingly, in this different environment, then after a while, we started having people come back to us and they would say, we really miss your dance. We've talked to the pastor, we want you to come back. Please, we're missing that important part that you were bringing that was blessing us.
And they even apologized. They said they were sorry for telling us not to dance.
Wow.
Which I think is pretty amazing for church leaders or anyone. It's always hard to apologize for.
Yeah, that is amazing.
That was pretty amazing.
I'm glad that they did, though, in the sense that, like you said, it's hard for people to apologize. And a lot of times I think we're almost used to people not following through with that kind of thing, even if they change their actions, but they don't necessarily come up and tell you I'm sorry that we did that, So that's really cool that they actually took the time to talk to you guys about it. That's really awesome.
Yeah. We didn't expect that or anything either. And oddly enough, is some other dancers were going to that church and they started freely worshiping after that.
Wow.
But it felt like Alisa and I kind of spearheaded that, and we had to go through that hard place so others could then be free to move. And that was really kind of cool to see that happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know you guys have been involved with even some conferences and different things within the church or within kind of ministry, and being able to even continue doing that after college, and not even just on Sundays, but for special events and things like that. Have y'all had any stories that you want to share from some of those experiences?
I think we've really been blessed, as moms, we've been doing that, project work with Christian companies that have been performing at women's events. me like here in College Station, and Lena's come up and joined me for those. And I think one time we do like group performances, like choreograph. And then there was one moment with actually that was like someone leading just spiritually, just singing, like improvisationally singing. And they were just singing, and we could take turns going up and worship and improv with the singing. And so right when I got up, I felt led to improv. I started going up there and improvising to the song. And the lady, I didn't know what she was going to sing at that point, but she changed her song and she started singing a song that was a verse that I had been listening to every day in the car. And it was such a blessing to me, even though I was out there to worship and bless others, that it was like blessing me, and that it was the same song that I was learning, that God was teaching me. So God uses so many movements in worship, and in places like a conference where he was like, I was supposed to be here to bless others, the Lord's going to pour into you too there. So it was really, those are really neat and fun for us, fun times to get to dance and worship.
Yeah, that's super special. Just to transition a little bit, I would love to hear a little bit about motherhood, because both of you guys have two adorable kids and one on the way for Alisa. And just, any like favorite moments of motherhood that you want to share, or just anything about motherhood that you'd like to share with our listeners?
It's really fun to be pregnant with your twin, because when you're pregnant with someone else who's pregnant, y'all can relate and talk to each other exactly what you're going through.
Yeah.
And I recommend, if anyone's ever getting pregnant, have a buddy, pregnant buddy.
Pregnancy buddy.
Yeah, someone you can talk to and relate to. It makes things a little easier.
Yeah, that sounds like super good advice.
Husbands are great too, but someone who's physically going through the same thing is nice too.
Yeah, to be able to be like, oh, you definitely understand what I'm talking about. That's awesome. What about you, Alisa?
I think, going off of the pregnant, I think some of the fun things that I remember when I was pregnant with Noah, that Felicity would just come up to my belly and just say, oh, mommy, new baby, I love new baby. And she would just like rub my belly and hug it and like just put her head up against my belly and just say, I love you, new baby. Like, we're looking forward to meet you.
Oh, precious.
Things like that. It's been like, I think that's been one of my favorite like moments. Just like,
just melts your heart.
Yes.
That's so cool. Well, you guys are both incredible moms, and it's been a joy like watching you guys with your kids and with each other's kids, and just all of that.
For right now, I'm really enjoying the toddler stage. My oldest is 4, and then my youngest is 2.
Yeah.
So they're pretty close together, and they're both boys. So it's very adventuresome in our house.
Yeah.
And boys are just a lot of fun. If anyone out there has boys, boys are a lot of fun, and it's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Great way to put it. And we're always outside a lot. And some of my favorite moments with the boys are probably being outside, either at the farm where they can just roam free out, and I don't have to worry about cars or anything or other people, because it's just some cows out there and some dogs, and they can have the free adventures that I had as a kid on the farm. Or when we're at the creek, we just go down to the creek. There's no one else there. It's just us and low water, and they play in the sand and they have a great time. And then we have a duck who comes up and visits us. He gets very close, even pecks my shoe. We call him Ducky Duck. Aww. But right now, that's what we enjoy, just going outside and feeling that freedom.
Yeah.
In a way, I guess I'm always chasing freedom.
That's
and
so cool.
that peace, you feel like you're closer to God, I guess, outside. And I feel like I'm imparting that to the boys. And they get that freedom to be boys and to be outside and to have that adventure and to be themselves. So I guess that's what I'm enjoying right now, since I'm not pregnant at the moment.
Right. I love that. And it's cool watching them kind of discover things, or there's like a whole nother energy and like life about toddlers. Super fun.
Yeah. And they're so different. Even though they're boys, they're so different. Luckily, they both love listening to me read out loud. So I'm glad they love books as much as I do, which is something I was going to make sure that they were going to love. I read to them when I was pregnant. It was like, you were going to love reading books.
Yes. Yeah. And that's so fun. And it probably a nice kind of like semi-calm time in the midst of the adventuring, like to go on adventures in a book. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, definitely adventure books.
Yeah. Yay. Well, thanks for sharing, guys. I know it's super fun and grateful that I have y'all as sisters-in-law for advice and all those things along life's journey in the future. Yeah, so kind of a nice flow from talking about family is, so Christmas will be pretty soon when this episode airs. It'll be like, I guess, a little over a week away, like a week and a half or so. And yay, Christmas. So I was just curious, do y'all have any favorite Christmas traditions, either from growing up or currently that you do with your family now?
Yeah, for me, a current one is we have this outdoor Christmas light place. And as a family, we get season passes and we go multiple times a year. Like we try to go once a week. And it is just so fun as a family to just go and relax and enjoy the lights and like be together and hear, your kids just enjoy being there and getting enjoy a Christmas tree ride or whatever.
Yes.
Like whatever it is, it's just relaxing to be able to go and enjoy and just be there and enjoy being outside and the lights and the atmosphere of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely a big current one for me and my kids.
Yeah.
To go to. We really enjoy it. It's a neat experience and Christmassy feeling.
All the Christmas
hot
vibes.
cocoa.
Hot cocoa. The hot cocoa there is super delicious.
Yes.
Also. I like that. I think sometimes when you're getting out of the normal like routine and environment, it can be helpful because it's like maybe easier to kind of unplug from the usual noise of life and like actually focus on like, wow, what beautiful Christmas lights, even if you have Christmas lights at home, sometimes it's nice to, get out of that routine.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Something special. How about you, Elena?
Definitely when Alisa and I were growing up, we loved doing the Christmas sugar cookies. I don't know if other people did that. I'm sure they did. But we did the Christmas cutouts, and my mom had these copper, like antique cutout shapes, and we'd always use those, and she'd roll out the dough, and we'd cut out all our Christmas shapes, and then we could decorate it however we wanted. And I know Alisa and I are both carrying that on with our kids, and so that's definitely a lot of food in our family. We love food.
So
that's how I also got my husband. He loves food.
That works well. It's good.
Good to know how to cook.
Yes. So delicious. There's so many great foods around Christmas time and especially Christmas cookies. That's for sure. So Hallmark Christmas movies.
We love Hallmark Christmas movies, especially as moms. You love the happy ending. Everything's wonderful at the end.
It's predictable.
There's no crying toddlers.
Yes. Have y'all seen the, I forget what it was. I think I heard it on the radio where they like, it's a Hallmark Christmas movie recipe and they have like different options. So it's like, is she like going back to her hometown because she's like helping save her family business, or is she like going to recharge? She just lost her job. I don't know. It's pretty funny.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Fun.
It's pretty cute.
I haven't seen that, but I might look it up.
Yes, you totally should.
Sounds like fun. That'd be a fun game to play.
It would, for sure. We need to watch some Hallmark Christmas movies together.
Yes.
With some cocoa.
Yes, hot cocoa.
Love it. And do y'all have any favorite Christmas memories? Or any funny stories or anything?
I just remember as a little girl, I really wanted a porcelain doll. Like I wanted one for a very long time. And of course, I'm a little girl, who wants to give a small child something that's porcelain? I can understand that now as a parent with two boys, but as a little girl, I just knew I wanted a porcelain doll so much. And I wanted it for a long time. And then one Christmas, I got 2 porcelain dolls. I was so excited.
Wow. That's so cool.
I never forgot that. I felt so amazed. I still remember. So.
Yeah, that's so fun.
I think a Christmas memory for me that reminds me, we loved playing with figures and dolls, and my dad spent a whole year building this dollhouse for us. It was like a Victorian 3-story, like for, like 3-inch, 4-inch dolls, and he wallpapered it. It had little electric lights, And
Aww.
he like did the brick and the mortar. Like he went out, but he took a long time. And we would see him in the garage. So it wasn't like a complete surprise, but we'd see him in the garage and
we helped.
Oh, yes.
We helped on Christmas Eve. We were like gluing the shingles onto the doll's roof.
Aww.
That was
a
fun.
labor
when
of
we got it
love.
for Christmas. It was like such a sweet thing because we saw him working on it for so long, and it was this gift that he had labor of love. And then we played with it, and it was really fun. But I think the best memory is remember seeing him build it for us, and then getting it on Christmas.
That's super cool.
The process. Yeah.
That definitely sounds like a labor of love. And a lot of times it's that intention that's like makes it so special, for sure. So I know 2020 has been kind of crazy and different and weird and all the things. So I'm like trying to think about, is there something that you're grateful for even in the midst of all the crazy going into Christmas 2020? Like anything that you're kind of focusing on?
I'm grateful for just my family, both my extended family, like my parents and my in-laws, and especially my family, my husband, my kids. It's like really a good time to be like, okay, we just want to focus on being together and relaxing and just being together, and that's what matters. And so I think for me, I'm just grateful for them.
Love that. How about you, Elena?
Yeah, mine's the same one. Again, I'm really just thankful for my family, especially for my husband and my kids. My husband works really hard. Sometimes he has to stay out working late in the evenings, and I know Alisa does too. So we're both right there in that one. And he came from another country, and he's done so much, and we work so well together. It's one of those things that was very God-led, and I just felt very blessed by my family. And I always ask God to let you be the one who picks my husband, not me. And so that's why I always feel very blessed with my family too for Christmas. I want a little trail leading.
Yeah, for sure. It's like that in and of itself is such a gift too. Definitely. Well, I like to ask everyone that comes on the show if there's something that you would want to share with other artists or just people that are listening. Most of our listeners are probably artists of some kind or creatives. So any advice or encouragement that you want to share?
I think for me, my advice would be even especially with COVID, you feel like, oh no, I don't have an audience anymore. Now people aren't watching me, or I don't get as a big of an audience. But just that reminder, the Lord's always your audience, and you can as dance or any art, you can do it in your home, and he sees the pain or the pottery. He's our first audience. So that I think is a good reminder for me to be like, you know what, whether I'm at home with my kids and I want to dance, or if I'm out on stage or I'm dancing in the grass, he's my first audience, and he's going to be blessed even if I don't get to do something for someone every day.
Yeah, that's so good.
For me, I would say find the place where you can recharge and where you can find your healing if you need it, or your place of peace that you can either re-heal or recharge, or find your place where you can find your serenity, to be perfectly honest. For some people, it might be being around people. For me, I like to be outside. I like to go to the farm. It's my mom's farm, and there's nobody there. So it's nice to just be outside and have your time with God, I guess is the way I would put it. Have your one-on-one with God, because when you're a mom, you have a lot of people that you're catering to and taking care of. And sometimes your one-on-one with God can get put aside, or you just don't get that time. So it's good to find your place to recharge.
Yeah.
And for me, I like being outside, getting to commune with God and in nature. I feel like that's what helps me. So
That's so good for all of us, no matter what stage of life people are in, finding that place and what is it that's refilling and connecting you with God. So good.
Yes. The refilling. That's the word I'm looking for, where you get to pour back in yourself, have God pour back in you, so then you can pour out to others.
Yeah.
As well, you're always pouring out.
Yes, for sure. It's a act of just constant sacrifice and pouring out, for sure. That's so good. Yeah. So My last official question, I guess, would be, what is one of your favorite things right now? Could be Christmas related or not.
Well, for me, I'd say baking and ice cream. I love to bake anything sweet, but I love ice cream, and that is my favorite thing right now, even though I can't have it so much while I'm pregnant. So I think it's on the brain. Oh no, I can't have it. I want it. But that's one of my favorite things. Honestly, it's ice cream.
Yes. And Alisa has a really awesome ice cream recipe that's so good. If you want to check it out, let me know. But it's so amazing. It's this base ice cream, and then you can mix in different things, or you can change it and make a chocolate or whatever. So we've been definitely enjoying that recipe ourselves.
Yes. You can't not love it.
Yes. So good. How about you, Elena? What's one of your favorite things right now?
I like being outside. I always love dabbling in makeup and doing different colors.
Oh, yeah.
I love doing different colors. And probably the thing I've been enjoying is learning about burden bearing and how that affects me and my family and me as an artist and being a dancer too. So that's been showing me a lot lately.
So good. Maybe I can, because I know there's a book that I've read a little bit of that was super good. Maybe I can link to it in the show notes if anyone's interested in learning about what it means to be a burden bearer and to maybe find out if you're one and do some reading, because that's super good. Yeah. Very freeing, to recognize what that is and, kind of
being able to help others.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I'm realizing how I can help others more and not just protect myself so much. I'm good at protecting myself, but I want to be able to help my boys who I know are burden bearers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. So good. Yay. Well, I super appreciate you guys just sharing your heart for ministry and for worship and for motherhood and just all the ways that God's been working in your lives. And I feel there's so much more that we could talk about, but we only have so much time. So I really appreciate y'all's vulnerability and just, taking the time to share with me and with our listeners today. So I love you guys. Y'all are awesome. And Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Yay.
Merry Christmas.
It's been an honor for us to be with you. And so thank you for having us.
I had so much fun getting to talk with Alisa and Alana and learn more about their stories. Next week, we wrap up our family Christmas series with a super fun group conversation with my mom's side of the family. And it is a party. Grab some hot cocoa and join us for lots of laughter next week. Thank y'all so much for listening to the Creative Impact Podcast. The music for the show is produced by Michael Cash. I would love it if you would share the show with a friend and also check out our Patreon community. And I'll see you next week for our final family Christmas episode. Have a great week, everybody.